To understand the significance of SQL injection, we need to talk about the impact. So what does it mean for an organization when it all goes wrong and an attacker successfully exploits the risk? I want to talk about three things, and the first one is confidentiality. A successful attack can gain access to all the internal information within a database. So think about the sensitive sort of things that you've got in many web applications. Personally identifiable information, for example. Email addresses, phone numbers. That's very sensitive data. You've often got credentials in the database, so usernames and passwords. The impact of compromising confidentiality on that data class goes well beyond the system alone, because people reuse their passwords. So before you know it, a successful SQL injection attack against one application leads to the compromise of accounts in other applications. And of course, often that's because the password storage mechanism was insufficient as well. So that's confidentiality, leaking that internal data. The other issue is integrity, because once a SQL injection vulnerability is found, an attacker almost always has the ability to change data on the target system. So for example, they might change prices in an e-commerce site. They might add accounts to escalate their own privileges. They may inject malicious script, cross-site scripting for example, or script that mounts a drive-by attack in the browser by tricking the user into downloading and executing malware. Or in some cases, integrity could be impacted simply by the attacker deleting all the tables, just simply destroying the system. This is the risk of SQL injection. It can be extremely destructive. So these two together are pretty nasty, because for confidentiality, you could have someone in there siphoning off your data and not know about it, or integrity-wise, you could have someone destroying your data. Both of them are pretty unfavorable results. The third one is around availability. And when we talk about availability, a SQL injection attack can be used to simply take the service offline. So I just mentioned deleting data. That'd be one option. Dropping tables. Even severely compromising the operating system that the database runs on. Depending on the level of rights that the web application has to the database, the attacker can be extremely malicious beyond just the scope of the database itself. So if the risk is bad enough, that could be the entire system gone, not just offline, but completely destroyed. So that's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Three attributes that we often talk about when we're assessing the security of a system. And all of them can suffer very, very badly from a successful SQL injection attack. Now, just to give you some context of how prevalent this sort of attack still is, let's go and take a look at a few cases of where it's still happening out in the wild.